Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning, or good afternoon, sorry. So, hey, this video is going to be about Trailblazer by Mark Benioff. The book, he's the CEO, he is the founder and co-CEO of Salesforce. And I got that wrong in one video, so I wanted to make sure I got that. But we're going to talk about some quotes, we're going to talk about values, we're going to talk about company culture, we're going to talk about a lot of things Salesforce today. So, the first quote that I want to read, he says, it's about how to create culture where doing well is synonymous with doing good in order to thrive in a world where company is only as strong as the principles that it adopts. Right. So Salesforce is very much a value based company. They give back as much as they can with their 111 program. That's in Mark Benioff has a core values approach to his system. I'll give you an example. When I was in the Marine Corps, we had honor, courage, and commitment, and those were our values. We had JJ did tie buckle, the 12 to 16 core value traits that a Marine is supposed to possess, right? So values are very, very important in a culture, right? So the Marine Corps is a warfighting culture, so obviously our culture is warfighting. So having a culture, having a good company culture is very huge, especially in Salesforce. So I do think that values are very important in a company that you want to work for, right? So in the next quote that he says, companies and the people who lead them can no longer afford to separate business objectives from the social issues surrounding them. They can no longer view their mission as a set of binary choices, growing versus giving back, making a profit versus promoting the public good, or innovating versus making the world a better place. So he's talking about making sure that companies don't blur the line between having values and a profit, right? You have to have both in a company. That's why I like Salesforce, is because they have a profit. They don't discriminate against anybody. They're very welcoming and opening, and an open culture where you can just be yourself and who you are, right? Your most authentic self. That's the most important thing that you have to have, especially in this day and age, right? As long as you're performing and doing your job correctly, everything is fine, right? You can be who you want to be, and that's the powerful part. Um, Next one, it says, this one is kind of long, so that was kind of long, but he says, here's the thing about values: you have to use words to identify them, but they won't create true value for you unless they turn into consistent behaviors, and that's very true, right? Like if you're not having consistent behaviors, having excellence is your standard, and you're not going towards that standard, then I think that's very powerful. I am actually going to go through his book. Um, let's see here. This is the book. It's called Trailblazer by Mark Benioff. So I'm going to go to the table of contents real quick, and it says Trailblazer, the power of business and the great platform for change. Right. So he's trying to change the game. Mark Benioff is kind of a change agent. Let's read what it says in the preview of the book. It says, an inspiring vision for successful companies in the future in which changing the world is everyone's business. What's the secret to business growth and innovation and a purpose-driven career in a world that is becoming vastly more complicated by the day? According to Mark Benioff, the answer is embracing a culture which your values penetrate everything that you do. Right. So you have to have a value-based company. You have to have, a company where values are at the forefront. Right. The Marine Corps wouldn't be what it is if it didn't have values. Right. The Army wouldn't be what it is if it didn't have values. So you have to have values. You have to have a company culture where your values increase and you do the things that are consistent with your values. Right. So as he says, in Trailblazer, Benioff gives readers a rare behind the scenes look at the inner workings of one of the world's most admired companies. He reveals how Salesforce core values trust, customer service. Let's break this down. Trust. You have to have your customers trust, right? Everybody, like I'll give you an example. Amazon, right? You trust Amazon to get your package there within 2 days if you have Prime, right? So you have to build that trust with your customers in order to get the results that they see fit for them to continue to buy your product. Customer success. Customer success, like we are just talking about, right? You have to have that transactional relationship with your customer. Innovation. You always have to be innovating, right? If you're not innovating, so there's a quote that says, "If you're not growing, you're dying." Right? Like it's the same exact thing with innovation. If a company is not innovating and if it's not doing new things, if it's doing the old things over and over, right? That's insanity, right? Like you have to be innovating. You have to be doing new things. And equality, right? You want to make sure, especially in this day and age, you want to have an equality workplace that doesn't discriminate against other people, right? So that's the biggest thing, right? Is having that equality and making sure that everybody feels welcome. They feel making sure that people are doing their jobs, but they feel welcome. They have a good work environment. The leadership, and I have a background in organizational leadership. The medium leadership, I'm talking about managers, and below. This first level of leadership makes or breaks a company. Let me say it again: the first level leadership makes or breaks a company. It makes or breaks a company's culture. It makes or breaks a company's work ethic, to the individual person, and the company's morale and their attitude. 100%, right? So you have to have managers that really care about their people. You have to have managers that really care about who they are, what they're doing, all that stuff. So that's very, very important. I wanted to point that out. And commitment to giving back to have become the company's greatest competitive edge and the most powerful engine in its success. Because no matter what business you're in, Benioff says values are the bedrock of a resilient company culture that inspires all employees at every level to do the best work of their lives. That's totally true, right? Like you have to have the best values out there, and your employees have to feel welcomed in order for them to come to work every day, right? Because they're working for you, right? Yes, you're giving them a paycheck and different things like that. But if you want a high value company, you want to invest in your employees. So, along the way, he shares insight and best practices with anyone who wants to cultivate a company culture positioned to thrive in the face of inevitable disruption ahead. None of us in the business world can afford to sit on the sidelines and ignore what's going on outside the walls of our workplaces. In the future, profits and progress will no longer be sustainable unless they serve the greater good. Whether you run a company, lead a small team, have just draped an ID badge around your neck for the first time, Trailblazer reveals how anyone can become an agent of change. You have to be an agent of change in your company, right? So you have to be an agent of change in your company. I'm going to go through the table of contents real quick. Let's see here. Part 1, values create value, a new direction, beginnings. Chapter 1 is beginnings. Chapter 2 is values. Chapter 3 is trust. Chapter 4 is customer success. Chapter 5 is innovation. Chapter 6 is equality. Part 2 is business is the greatest platform for change, shared knowledge. Chapter 7 is Ohana. I talked about their company culture before with the Ohana family vibe. Now, chapter 8 is giving back. Giving back means looking forward. Chapter 9 is beginner's mind. Chapter 10, stakeholders. We are investing in the trailblazer of the future. From a blank page to the same page, we're all connected on this planet. The activist CEO, taking a stand is not optional. So he has a very in-your-face approach about how he does things. And his number one thing is value. So I hope this video brings value to you. I hope you understand Salesforce's culture a little bit. Salesforce is one of those companies that they will not sit on the sidelines. They will go out and they will advocate for change in the things that they see fit. And that's something that I like about a company. They go out, they advocate for change. They make sure that, all their T's are crossed. They do provide a great service with cloud computing, but, this video is a little bit different. The reason why I did this video is because I want you to get the value out of Salesforce. I want you to get the value of understanding the culture that Salesforce has, right? Because if you don't understand the values of the company, how are you going to actually, truly work for them? Some people, they just go, I mean, you can work for them, but you're just going to go through it very plainly and not engage in that company. I mean, you're putting 40, 50, 60 hours a week in this workday. I don't know how long, our lifespan we're at work, but if you're working from 16 all the way till you're 65, that's a long time. That's a lot of hours at work, right? So that's probably like a third or fourth of your life, right? So you want to work for a company that you make sure that you're involved with, you're getting the value out of this. I hope these videos bring value to you. So be a trailblazer, come join Salesforce, and you won't regret it. All right, guys, that's all that I have. Take care. I'll see you guys on the other side.